A sidecar is similar to slideshow, but instead of clicking next, you scroll down to transition between slides. You can choose to have your text and description on a floating panel or a dock panel. Now don't worry, you can always change the setting later without losing any content. With a floating panel, this looks exactly like you're editing a slideshow. You can add image, map, or embed here. Let's say I want to use the sidecar to explain how I calculate social vulnerability. So I'm going to add an embed with the YouTube video where I explain this process. Copy the link of my YouTube video. Alright, add some description. Then I add a slide showing some underlying data. Here I want to show the percentage of households without a car. Add the map Lake Charles and hide the other layers, only keep the percentage of households without a vehicle. Now you might notice that with the side panel here, you can add more than just text. You can click the plus sign to add other elements, just like in the main body of the story map. You can't add another immersive block like a slideshow or a sidecar here, but you can pretty much add anything else: a button, separator, image, video, a map. Now there's something we haven't seen before. A map action. What is a map action? It's something like a button that could change the extent, zoom level, or visible layers on the map. So within one slide, viewers can use these buttons to see different parts of the map or different layers of the map. Let's say I want to include a map action that zooms in to downtown Lake Charles. Now after setting the text, I need to configure the map action to show what I wanted to show. So click the pencil here. Now I can zoom in, center on about where downtown Lake Charles is, I believe, and save action. Now you can use this button to switch between this close-up view and the original view. I'm going to add another map action which shows a different layer, shows the hydrography layer. Okay, similarly, click Edit, and then I'm going to change the visibility of this layer. Shows rivers and lakes. Okay, and save action. Now let's add a third map action that resets the map. Let's preview the map. Scroll down to the part where we had the sidecar. You see, when I continue to scroll down, this media part doesn't move anymore, and the sidecar, the floating panel, moves. So that transitions between the two slides we have. And here, we can use these map action buttons to switch between, it should turn on, yeah, it takes a little while to load, to switch between different views of the map. Alright, back to the editor. So similarly, I can use the palette to change the color, style, and the position of the floating panel. I can drag, reorder the slides here, and I can change transition to slow fade. I can hide a slide, and here you also have the option to add background audio and collapse this panel. But let's change the layout. Remember, there's another setting for the layout of Sidecar. Let's see how that works. Now you see my floating panel becomes docked, but all my contents, including the map actions, are still there. So don't worry, you can change back and forth, nothing will be lost. Now similarly, you scroll down to transition between the two slides. And you can add more slides here. You can use these buttons to change the size of the panel or change its position from left to right. Okay, next let's see a map tour. Let's say I want to provide a bit more context of Lake Charles, because a lot of my audience probably never been there. I can include a map tour showing a list of the major landmarks in the city. Maybe I want to show the historic buildings and districts that are particularly vulnerable to flood, or maybe the locations that suffered the most damage after the hurricane. Now, let's see how to do that with a map tour. I'm gonna put that before this part. So add a map tour. And again, there are two types of layouts, guided tour and explorer. In the guided tour, there's a preset sequence that you lead the audience through. In the explorer, the audience is presented with all the locations and they can choose which ones to click and in what order. Like with the sidecar, you can always change the layout later and not lose any content. Let's try a guided tour first. And then you have another option between map focused and media focused. The main difference is which component will occupy the main part of your screen. Again, you can always easily change this later. I'm using a map focused tour for now. Okay, you'll be asked to add locations. I'm gonna use some landmark buildings that I found. So I add an image here. Drag in my image. And don't forget to set attribution. Here you can also change the setting of the image, whether it should fill the frame, in which case it might be cropped, or it should fit the frame, in which case it will be rescaled. Include the title. Now I have the information, but I haven't located this point on the map yet. So let's click Add Location. To search for this location. Alright, add it to the map. So now we have one location here. You can change the zoom level here so you can see more clearly where the building is. Alright, let's add another location. Can change display settings, add attribution. Remember, attribution is shown in this little icon. And then set location. Add a third location. Oops, I don't think I've added that. Now you see this option, custom zoom level. By default, all the points will be shown in the same zoom level, but you can check this if you want to show, say, this third point at a closer zoom. Alright, now we have 3 points, and remember we're using a guided tour, so the order does matter, and you can reorder them if you want. And let's preview to see what it looks like. Now, with a guided tour, again, you keep scrolling down, and that helps you transition between different locations. And you see here with the third point, I set a different zoom level. Alright, go back to Edit Story, and let's try the other layout options. Still under guided, you can change it to media focused. So the map will be a smaller part of your screen. Let's change it to Explorer. You also have 2 options, grid and list. We only have 3 points, so a grid would not be very necessary, but with a lot of points, you can see the benefit of doing this. Now you simply present it with a map showing these 3 points, and you can click on each one of them to see the description. And with a list explorer, your points will be organized as a list instead of grid, but otherwise will be similar. You can also hide a point in the map tour.